Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's London to New York crossover with the HarmonicScanner and pitchforks. Lovely to see you here today. I'm just going to start sharing screen. I've got something in the chat already. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's only some tweaks and additions on the document that I've prepared. I went to bed and I got up again. I thought, oh, I can't let anyone see that without adding something in. I think it was about spreads or something. So, and what I might do is reorganize it just so it's got like a contents, then you could hyperlink just to the contents bit that you want. So thanks very much for that. It was worth staying up till 5 a.m. for you then, everything that was in my head. So let's just start sharing screen. And let's start off with the two trades I took today. The markets are slow, and I think I learned a lesson because normally I'll trade fast pairs, as you know, in London, GBP, JPY, GBP, New Zealand dollar, NZD, GBP, AUD, GA, GCAD, Canadian dollar, Euro NZD, and Euro AUD. Those are my favourites to look at first in the London session. So the first one that I took, and I was on Chance's session this morning, but I didn't actually get in any trades. He said Euro AUD looked the best, I think, and GU, but I got into, the first one I got into was GCAD, and I did 9.4 pips instead of, if you look down here, there was my entry. I could have had to the bottom there, whoops, that's not right, 25, that's it down there. So I could have had 25 pips. So why didn't I take the money and run down here? That would have been my daily goal. It's the point I'm making to you is it's a judgment, it's a balance. If you're serious about trading, you've got to learn to look at your ratio of stop loss to stop profits. You've got to run your trades, and you've got to compound your account slowly, consistently, and steadily, not just grab pips and run. I'm not saying what I did here was right or wrong. You have to make a conscious judgment, but we'll just replay this one before we look for some trades, because the market, two trades to replay for you. To learn from. So I walked away with 9 point. This blue line up here is where I was running my stop profit down. So I got taken out at 9.4 pips. I had it at 10 pips, and I was running it 3 pips behind the 62 EMA. Okay. Now, while you are in a trade and price is below the 62 EMA, you have no reason to get out of a trade. You have no reason to get out of a trade, and that's what you have to keep telling yourself. So we'll just replay this one back to the beginning of London, and I'll talk you through it. Back to there. And the other thing is, yesterday I was on a call with someone, and they said to me, your screen's too small, can't see the candles. Well, okay, I just follow what Chance does. I can't see great big fat candles with wicks and everything on his screen, and my colors aren't wrong. I don't like red on my sell candles because that reminds me of school where they used to mark it in red that you'd done wrong, and you know, you got 0 out of 10 or something. So I have blue and green candles. I do the same as Chance. That's a psychology lesson. We are on 1 minute candles, so therefore each one of these white sticks is a 1 minute candle. I don't need to see the wicks, because unless I'm looking at a major level, and then I will magnify to see if it's wicking off a major level and therefore rejecting. So I hope this is acceptable, that I keep it down at that sort of level. I don't mind trying to make it bigger, but when I'm trading, I can't trade like that. I just I'm so used to trading with small candles, but I'll just do it like this so that, you know, I hope that we can get used to this on the sessions if you want to actually see the candles. So I have blue for buy candles and green for sell candles. So let's just start off. So we are coming into beginning of London, and we are coming off a D point over here, which is, should have shown you that first, shouldn't I? Just back here. So it was a sell scan. There it is. There's that D point, okay, from the 7th of July. Let's just carry on playing the green. So we're coming into open of London. I wasn't looking at the trade at this point. Yes, I was. Hang on, I've lost my, because that's my 1 minute trend line. Oh no, that's okay. So I've anchored the trend line up here. I'm not in the trade, but I can see it's done this sharp downward momentum. And the other thing is that if you look at the gap between the pitchfork leg, which is this white line, what are we noticing here? We are noticing that it is 100 pips. So I'm saying to myself, number one, GCAD's a fast pair. I like trading it. Number two, I'm in London, so that's great for GCAD. Number three, you can get 50, 60 pips, although the markets are slow, you can see from the volume on here. And number four, that means it's acceptable for me to take a quarter theory trade off this level because this leg is over 60 pips. And it's a sell scan as well. So I can see it's stalled out all the way along here. And then it starts to come under the 62, which means that's pushing it down like a ceiling. Let's just magnify the candles again for you. Okay, so at this point, I've got the break and the retest, but it's only 8 pips. But you see all that stalling out, and that is an old pitchfork, that pale green one. So it's stalled out all along that. Look how it's just beautiful how it's respected that old pitchfork and stalled out there for over half an hour, 36 minutes. So I'm saying, okay, and the orange has crossed the blue, which is one of our confirmations. So it's looking good. I'm thinking I'm going to get into this. Here's the break and the retest of quarter theory. Oh, put that on right here. So that's 7.9, 8 pips. So not quite 10 pips, but I have got that in my favor. I've got this in my favor, and it's a downward scan. Then that at 9 o'clock UK time, 10 o'clock, it didn't do a fake out to the upside either. And then here's 11 o'clock's not coming up to that point there. So so I get in, that's probably my broker spread and commission there, because I got in at 1.70475, so 2.5 pips off quarter theory. So every pip counts in this strategy. So the quicker you can press the button, the better. At the open of that green sell candle, that's where I wanted to get in. So I was 2.5 pips off, but now I'm in the trade. So at this point, I have got my stop loss here. I've set it at 1 pip to remind me, 6.5, to remind me, you don't have to run it like this. This is just the way I do it, to remind me what I'm looking for on my C trader when I go over to adjust it to 1 pip. Now, because this is a fast pair, we have a 15 pip stop loss. And thank you, I don't know, I've forgotten the name of the person in the group who said that he'd double check with Chance that if we're on a trade that has a 15 pip stop loss, to wait until 15 pips before we move the stop loss to 1 pip. So I'm doing that now, and that has worked hugely better for me. And I don't know why I kind of had, you know, so that's another thing to put into the document. I don't know why I kind of, you know, not got that in my head. So my stop loss is still at the moment right up here at the 15 pips. I'm not going to move it until this alarm goes off, which is at 15 pips at 1.70325. That's 15 pips off my entry, okay? 10 pips for other pairs. And here it goes down. It does its usual thing. It's still under the 1 minute, remember? And all the time I'm sat here muttering to myself, it's still under the 62. You have no reason to get out of this trade. So even though it comes above the 1 minute trend line, and you can apparently move your trend line as you're in the trade. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, but you don't put it on current price ever, because the candles are moving, they're not fixed. So you must have it back in time where it's fixed. So I'm still in the trade at this point. The alarm's just about to go off, and there's the alarm going off. So at this point I move my stop loss down here, and then I keep monitoring it. So I'm running it 3 pips behind the 62 EMA, and that's what I continue to do all the way down until it comes to whatever it was, 10 pips that 375 I got taken out. So I run it 3 pips behind all the way down, and then price carries on down. So yes, price carries on down. I'm still in because I'm thinking, well, I want to run this down to this line here. The quarter theory is my target, which is nearly 50 pips. This is a zone area down to that pitchfork, 65 pips. But remember, the markets are slow. So what I should have done really is my summary is back testing it. I should have just taken the 25 pips and left it at that, because it moved very slowly for GCAD. Usually it just plunges down. And I had been looking at this level here to see where there were previous lines of support and resistance. And I was actually aiming for down here, where you can see a great big long stall out down here. But anyway, it reversed on me, but I came away with 9.4 pips because of where I had my stop profit. And in fact, it didn't go any further. That's probably a sign of the markets today. It gave you another stall out there, so you would have had to have stayed in the trade another hour to achieve nothing extra, and to have suffered if you hadn't moved your stop loss down, which you should have at that point. You would have been well out of the trade, taken out, because it went right back up almost to 1 pip, well, break even on the entry. And here we are, came up to test the 15 minute, and I've been out dog walking and shopping, so I hadn't seen what it had done since. So that's the end of that trade there. It's now crossed back above, so I'll be looking at that again for another sell at some point. I don't know if anyone's got any questions on that. If not, we'll just quickly run through the Euro Ward one at 3.6 pips. Just take these, tidy up as we go along. Okay, so that's GCAD. I will close this because there isn't a trade here at the moment. I'll just write down that we've looked at that one. And then the other one I want to look at is Euro Ward, where I came away with 3.6 pips when I could have had 12. Quarter theory is just snagging on us. Okay, so again, I'll just see if I can magnify it for you. Again, this was, oops. This was a D point up here. There it is from the 7th of July. That's what we're trading off. And I'll just magnify this so people want to see the candles better. And let's come back on the replay to the Open of London. There, where the green, that's Tokyo, ending into yellow. I do find the sessions timer very, very useful indeed. And I'll do some more back testing, put it in the group. I'm going to do the fast GBP pairs next to show you what times of day pairs move, how many trades there are over 10 days sessions. I find that really interesting, useful to do. So here we are at open of London. Now I put a, sorry, my fib has slipped there. I put a fib on this, past to present. This obviously is back in time, so the candles haven't formed yet. But when we're going through the replay, you'll see it past to present, down for a sell, okay? So your reward, fast pair, 10 out of 10, you need a 15 pip stop loss. So we're coming into London. Sorry about that, that's trading view, glitches, quarter theory. What I could do is just mark it. Oh, hang on, it should clean up in a minute. So we're coming into London. That's really not looking good, is it, with that quarter theory? Let me just see if I can put that on manually, and it won't. I'll just put that on down there and change the color. 1.62500 into orange for quarter theory, and make that a dashed line. And so 1 to 500, and then there'll be one up here, so I'll just clone that so we can put that up here. 1.62600 would be the next quarter theory, okay? So I'll just turn it off there, and let's hang on, I'll just carry on a minute. Let's turn it off. So you can see that the candles are, this was my upward trend line, and where it meets that downward green trend line is where I'm starting to look at getting in the trade. So let's carry on. So price comes down, it's a fast moving pair, it tests the 15-minute, the blue line, and that is my, I haven't done that's my 0% on my fib. So I'm looking for it to come back up to the 61.8, or one of these to the 78 or the 88.6, okay? So it carries on doing its thing, comes up to quarter theory, and then comes up, and that's the 88.6. So at this point, I think, oh, I'm definitely going to get into this, but I don't want to get into it until it's below the pitchfork and below quarter theory down here, okay? And then you need all your confirmations to sit in your red slider box between your entry and your stop loss. You need your confirmations tight together, sitting within that box. That's the whole point of how you can get away with a 10 pip stop loss on the 1 minute entry. So here we are, price is coming down. So I'm saying to myself, okay, that's the 11 o'clock up there, 10 o'clock UK time. Price has now come down below the 62. It's tested again the pitchfork. So I've got my break and my retest, but there's one confirmation for a sell. It's below the 62 EMA, second confirmation for a sell. But it is above quarter theory, so that is saying buy. So that's not helping us. We don't want to get into a sell where one of the confirmations isn't working. Although I have got that confirmation of the 88.6. So in fact, I do have the 3 confirmations. If I'd felt so inclined, I could have had an entry up here. But what worried me was that I wasn't below the next quarter theory. So I'm quite conservative, really. I prefer to come in at this point, because I've only got between there and there 5 to 6 pips, and this is like a brick wall, so I don't really want to hit a brick wall when I'm trading. So at this point, that's my blue line, well, where the green meets the red, where I do get into the trade, because I've got the break and the retest of quarter theory. That's what I'm looking for. and that broke and retested by 5 pips, but it is a break and a retest. It's under the 62. We've got the break and the retest there of the trend of the pitchfork, and we're off that 88.6 fib. So I get into the trade here at that price there, which was 1.62464 there, and then it on that second candle there, and then it started to move. Okay, so all the time that it's below my 1 minute trend, and I did move this slightly as I was in the trade, because you've got your entry trend line and then your trade trend line, but all the time it's below the 62, then I know I'm safe to stay in the trade. Okay, so we just finished doing this one, and I've still got my stop loss right up here. I haven't moved it at all, because I'm waiting for my alarm to go off at 15 pips, which is down here near that next pitchfork. So price stays under the 62, it tests it again, but the good news is the 62 is crossed under the 15-minute one, so I'm still safe to stay in the trade. Now it comes back up there. So where did I get out of the trade? Let me just, I can't remember now. So I must have, whoops, hang on. Let me just accidentally move that. So let me think what I did here, because it came down 12 pips. I hadn't moved my stop loss at all, or had I? Did I move it? Did I move it at 10 pips? I know I came out with 3.6 pips. So I definitely was out of it by that time. So I think what I might have done is moved it after it came down 12, and I didn't take the 12. I was waiting for the alarm. Oh, I know what I did. I was waiting for the alarm at 15 pips. It didn't make that. It started to reverse on me. It started to reverse on me. That's right. And I closed the trade. It started to reverse on me. It came up above the 1 minute trend line. So I thought, oh, this doesn't look good. And as soon as it starts to come above the 62, I'm out the trade. So I ended up, that's 1 pip there. I ended up with 3.6 pips up here. So I think as well, the lesson I learned from this one is a slower moving market. You can see all the wicks in the market today. I'm no expert. I don't want to prejudge the market. But it's a very fast pair, and I should have just probably taken my 10 pips, which would have been a 1-to-1 on this trade. So I just wanted to go through those with you. I don't know if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask. And I'll just tidy this up, and then we'll come and look for some, we'll look for some setups. Don't know if there's anything in the chat. I'd have to stop sharing to see the chat.
There's nothing in the chat at the moment.
Oh, thanks, Brian. And
Sarah, that's really helpful, because I hadn't appreciated that you had all your confirmations in the red part of the slider before.
yeah, I have to say that cost me a lot of money, because at that point never sank in with me for months.
No, you've talked about it, but I hadn't realised they were all in that red part. So that's really good. Thank you.
Yeah, Chance said it again this morning, and the other thing that's really, really helping me now is Helen is knowing to leave your alarm at 15 pips if you're on a fast pair where it's a 15 pip stop loss, because I keep getting taken out, stop profited out, and then it runs on 70 pips on these fast pairs because I was starting to move my stop loss after 10 pips, and you've got to give it more room to breathe. And then the second thing is I think I've got better at running it behind the 62 EMA by about 3 pips as well. So gradually taking it down, squeezing the extra pips out on the profit. So one thing I wanted to ask is Kathy on? She might be at work. Brian, you know in the group, Kathy said that the D point had moved. Was that NZDJPY? I just wanted to check that one.
I think that was one that moved a couple of times. I think she was talking about NZDCAD, if I remember correctly.
So to save me going back into the group,
so let me double check.
can you look at my chart? Because I think I drew mine up quite late yesterday, and therefore I probably got the correct one. I think that it can't be higher than that.
Just let me double check. NZDCAD had a very weird scan, and I didn't really draw it because it was.
Was that an hourly?
It was on an hourly. Just let me double check, and it's still hanging around. No, it's redrawn. Oh no, there it is.
That's what I've got.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at the harmonic scanner, it's got its D point halfway down some big spike, and price up at around, what time would it be for you? It would be on the 7th at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon for you is where the harmonic scanner is. And I didn't bother adjusting my chart or drawing it because it just didn't look right. Let me double check what I got.
That's what I've got. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, sorry, NZD CAD, beg your pardon. Help, I've done it again. Help if I was on the right pair.
Yeah, I left mine at the previous D point that I had on the 6th of July, or would have been in the middle of the night for you, my time. And I didn't update it because for the strangest reason, it just didn't fit right for me because it didn't update, didn't redraw on the scanner.
It hasn't redrawn up to there, you mean?
Yeah, it hasn't redrawn up to that big spike that I just pointed out to you at 4 o'clock your time on the 7th.
You mean this bit here? Oh. These spikes.
Yeah, that one.
Well, I did redraw mine up to there. That's where I drew it. Because if what I thought was that, by the way, thanks for your tip about getting rid of the RSI. Gives you more room. That's better, isn't it? Which you told Chance the other day. So from that to there, it has now moved 39.40 pips. So I think that's okay. And if you look at this, what I thought last night when I looked at this was, if you look at the Elliott wave, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. I know you've got that little dip there, but I was thinking, well, that actually looks okay to me.
But on the harmonic scanner, though, it hasn't even technically reached the entry line yet because it didn't update from the previous D point.
Well, true.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know, but there it is on. Here it is, respecting quarter theory there. That's an old.
We'll call it a coin toss on this one. This is a slow moving pair.
Okay.
We got lots of other things to look, pairs to look at.
What I'll do is I'll just put a circle around that to remind me not to. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't often trade this one myself. Right, so Euro NZD. I had this one marked up from this morning, and I've been out dog walking, had an egg sandwich, and been in the local shop, and it still hasn't moved much since I've been out. Where's my quarters theory? Just hide that, see if that tidies it up. So I'd marked it to come above quarter theory because again, this is off a buy scan down here, and it just hasn't moved. And that's EN, which is one of the fastest pairs. So it has hit the median, beautiful stall out there respecting the pitchfork. You'll notice that the orange, the current momentum in the market, did not cross the blue. So that's still saying a downward push, and it only crosses in Tokyo yesterday, and then it stays above, and it still hasn't crossed down here. So it's now in buy mode, but it's just caught in this little cheese-shaped wedgie trap here. So let me magnify that for us, because I do like trading EN, but that's, oh, it's only just moving now. So I had it marked up, and it's just moving. So in the interest of people wanting to see bigger candles. And there we are. So a break. So what have we got here? We've got orange above the blue, check one for a buy. We've got the break and the retest of the pitchfork, but wicking off the quarter theory. And I think when I measured it this morning, it was only about 5 pips, 7 pips break and a retest, but it is a break and a retest. And now you're looking for a break and a retest off quarter theory. But look here how it fails. It fails to take off. So it's giving us the same, and that's in the same shape. It's giving us the same setup. So sometimes you can get in on a trade and then it fails on you, and you think, oh, I'm not gonna get caught like that again. You see here, it only moved up. It's only moved up from the pitchfork. Hang on, let's try and capture. It moved up 14 pips, so you should have had your stop profit in just about. And you, or if you saw it failing, because it came down, tested the 1 minute trend, and the 62 came up again, but you can see it's forming a lower high. You should have probably thought to yourself, oh, I don't like the look of this, I think I'll get out. So I've got out at a bit of sludge. So just because that happened to you doesn't mean to say that the next exact same setup, i.e. this is the exact same setup, break and retest of the pitchfork up to quarter theory, and now coming above the quarter theory. I haven't got a new, well, I have got a new trend line here. So you could get in again if it does enough of a break and a retest. The only thing I don't like is the markets are very, very small volume. I think it's probably because it's after the 4th of July. Probably a lot of people are on holiday. That is not, you know, what I call fast moving for a pair like EN. Although I could have done my daily target today and had my 27 pips, I've only done 12 today. And I'm probably not going to take any more trades today because of this, all these wicks. And I mean, it's tortuously slow. This is EN, which is 10 out of 10. You know, so it's up to you, but that is 43. So we're not on an hourly candle yet. So you want a decent break and retest on this, and then you're looking for a buy, but don't get in until it is, I'll just give you that quarter theory level, 1.72500 there. Okay, so, and you have got, you know, it could carry on like this for another hour, well, another half hour or so anyway, because New York tends to take off in about 20 minutes or so, if you remember, 2 to 4 UK time. So it could still squiggle along here for a while. So that's EN, which is a buy after 1.72500. And we'll close that. In fact, that's, yeah, and probably wait. You might want to wait. Just see that 62 come up a bit more because it's not moving very fast. So see that comes up instead of curling back down again. And what's the hull tell us? Put pivots on and then look at the hull. That's always a sign the market's slow if I start to turn these things on. So we have got higher highs there and we've got higher lows forming. So that's a good sign there. And turn that off and just look at the hull. Sorry, it's a bit, oh, there we are now. That's interesting, isn't it? Because that's the 15-minute band. It's all been red, but it's just flipped to green. And that's on the 15-minute trend. So if you remember this, the line through price is the 1 minute trend on the hull. Green for buy, red for sell. We've had a little red flip there, but that was a long green trend there. And then it's come back into green and it's green now. It's flipped on the 15 minutes. So that's a good indication for a buy. depends on your appetite for how, you know, how much you believe in that break and retest. You've got the upward trend there, and you've got the 62 coming up, but it's very wicky on there. So it depends where you are. So it is it's rejected off 4 times now, and that's a buy candle on the quarter theory. But then if you go back where it failed to take off, that ended up, look at all those wicks, that ended up at 14 pips, came back down and then failed here. So you should have been out the trade, getting out of it as soon as you saw it start to form these lower highs and come under the 62. That should have told you, and break the 1 minute trend line that you've drawn. That should tell you that you should be, there's your break and a retest, that it was going to drop down again. So it came down below that trend line under the 62 to test the 15 minute. And here we are where it's having another attempt. Oh, it's sorry, it did just cross under there, but not much. Because this could still come back down in here. Okay. So we'll leave that one and look at something else. We'll stay on the fast pairs, I think. We'll have a look. I'll close euro. Oh, it's come right back up there again. Right back up to test that D point. I'll close that one. I don't want to look at euro order. We'll look at G. CN. We'll look at. We looked at GCAD. We'll have a look at GA. Another wild, wacky pair, 10 out of 10. I haven't looked at this at all today. I just did those two. So let's look at the scan that we're on. That was that D point from the 3rd of July. So it came right down below the extensions, respected quarter theory beautifully along there. It's worked its way back up into the scan. Has now come down at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is 15 minutes. So 11, 2.5 hours. It's stalled across quarter theory, just coming down there again. So again, very slow for a pair like GA. So we haven't got a trade on this because it's out of that scan. I could look at it in this scan with those green lines, which you probably haven't got, but I suspect it's just going to play along here again before it decides to finally take off back up into that scan. I'll just show you this other scan that it has been playing in, which is this one. You only need one of them. I'll take that one. I'll hide that one. So that's that scan from 1st of June. And you can see all the touches here, along here, along here. So that's still a valid scan. So at the moment, I can't decide whether it wants to come back into the most recent one and carry on up, or whether it's failing and going to come down here. So it's in a bit of a crossroads, and that can get very confusing. I know, where you're trying to look at two scans, it's horrible. It's not good. So it just needs to sort itself out a bit. So if you look at if you look on the 1 minute, what it's telling us that it's below the orange, so it's selling. It's above quarter theory, so it's buying. It's wicked off this outer extension of the lower scan, so it's selling. And I think it's just broken this trend line. So it looks like it's a sell. But again, I'm not that keen on getting into it, I have to say. because you can see that's crossing down there, but then you've got this barrier here of quarter theory, which is only, what's the gap between the extension and there? 14 pips, so it's only got about under 10 pips to go where current price is before it comes down here, so you wouldn't want to look at it until it's cleared, broken and retested quarter theory anyway, and then you aren't in that bigger, that's 50 pips, so you wouldn't really take a quarter theory trade there. So I don't think there's a lot to say about GA at the moment. Let's look at another fast one. So we've done GCAD, EN, GA. We'll look at GJ, GBP, JPY. And just to show you which scan we're working off. So, oh, this is a D point from the 2nd of July. All that stall out there. Let's come right up here. Let's check that on the scanner. Right, let's GJ, it's appearing on FX choice. So on FX choice, that is a failed scan. That's a failed scan because it's just directly gone up above there, and that was the D point of the 7th of July at 1500.
That one also wasn't 80 pips either.
Oh, was it not? Right.
No.
Okay then. So that's 2nd of July at 1400. So, well, it's still within the extensions on the hourly on this one. So if it's a sell scan, but you'd want to wait for price to come below that. Let's see what's happening here. So that was a sell there, but we've missed that. So we've got a break and a retest of just about 10 pips here. Let me magnify it. So there was a break and a retest here and of quarter theory, and it got below the, in fact, if it comes back, you could, but the markets are moving very slowly today. So I'm not sure I want to get in anything that's going to stick around like mud like this. So if it comes back up to touch that line there, stop loss and take profit there, but you're going to be sat in things for ages, so that's quite nice. You've still got an entry there. I don't want to get into it, so I don't want to get into anything. You're 8.6 pips off the pitchfork, that's all. And if we draw our trend line, nice stall out there, good sign that it's going to drop, and there's your drop there with the break and the retest, so you have got an entry now. So I was going to get the trend line and just show where it's, there's your break and retest to the 62 on this trend line. So that's a definite sell. But it's just amazing how slow the markets are moving, isn't it? Show you the pivots. So lower highs are forming and lower lows. It's just wicked right off that there, but you can see the 62s curling around. So the other problem is it hasn't actually crossed yet. So to be safe, you'd want it to cross, and then you're going to be about 10 pips off that pitchfork and the quarter theory. So don't just go into trades because you're desperate to get pips. The market just doesn't work like that. And let's look at the hull. I mean, please don't just rush into things because it's just not worth it. You're better off waiting for another trade. So that, you see, that's still on green at the moment. So we'd want that to, and we're five minutes before the hour. So you should check your clock. You shouldn't be getting in 10 minutes before the hour because of the fake outs. So that's GJ, and that would be an entry at, well, it's just dropping now, 1.34.909, 1.34.910. And then you'd want to draw you want to make sure that you're staying below that trend line. So it's just, and you want price to stay below that 62, and you can see it's curling round. So it's teasing us. It's not actually, it's wicking off, but you really want that, you don't want that 62 to curl round on you and come back up. That's what we're looking for. And we'll just look briefly at one more. So that's GJ, GA, GCAD, and Euro. We've looked at all the fast ones then, haven't we? GCAD, GA, GN. What's the other one? We'll have a look at GU. It's not quite as fast. We'll just finish with that one. Down here. Haven't looked at this at all today, this one. Oh, okay. So that was me looking at it yesterday. So we had a lovely break and retest off that D point from the 7th of July. It is a buy scan. It's now come up to the way past. So, you know, it's anything's fair game for a buy or sell. It came out of this scan. It's come back into the scan. The extensions have done their job and pinged it back in. And we are on the 1 minute. Sorry, I was going to say we'll come down to the 1 minute. So again, it's doing a similar thing. So if it comes below, for a break and a retest, 1.25390, 1.25390, that's the pitchfork. But again, you want this orange to, you can see it's doing the same as GJ. You want it to curl down. If it's got some very similar setup. So we've got that here. Make sure you anchor your trend line on a, that's it. So I've got all those touches there. And also you've got this wedge, price trap wedge. So you don't want to get caught in that. You need to just get your confirmations to stack up. So what's it telling you? It's telling you nice stall out along here, and it broke and retested the pitchfork by only 6.4, but it did stall out between the quarter theory and the pitch and the extension for quite some time at the end of London and into the crossover. And we've got it saying buy on the 62 EMA. We've got it saying sell on quarter theory. We've got it saying sell on the 1 minute trend line. And we've also had this break and retest on this one of, that's done a 10 pips. That's done a 10 pip break and retest. So I don't think I've got a fib. I think that's too high up. We'll just see if it, hang on, I haven't got that properly done. Yes, it's not, that's not a fib. So let's try that one. Well, that looks quite nice. So if it comes up to that 61.8, you see all those stall outs there? And that's near quarter theory as well. So that would be nice if it does this. I'll be looking for something like that. And then you've got that. Okay, so that's what we're looking for on that one. And that's about it for today then. I'll just stop sharing and see if there's anything in the chat. Thank you, Sarah. I have to go now. Hope to see you tomorrow. Yes, I'll see everyone tomorrow. And thank you very much for joining. Thanks, Brian, for all your help.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Brian.
You're very welcome.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Sarah, that was really good, but I think you should make the candles bigger for next time.